Hello everybody and welcome back. I hope the YouTube stream is up and running. We can now see what's going to happen with the counter when the number goes into negative one. I didn't check what's going to happen then. So miks ta seda ta peaks näitama presekat ja see on seisma jäänud see stream või? Nice, the video stream died. Just a moment. Yeah, I've got mirroring enabled, so should be fixed on my side. But anyway, I guess let's get started. Is it running on that machine? Okay, so it's working. I'm pretty brain dead by now. I suppose many of you are. So. But it's time to sort of cover something what we did over this weekend, because otherwise otherwise this information will be lost anyway. So I hope Arti will get the slides back up as well. So we had more than 15 participants here on time. We had lots of visitors from abroad as well. Lots of awesome work happened. And surprisingly to me, the whole fridge of soda, the fridge was full of soda when we started, and the fridge is now empty. But there's a couple cans of Sprite left, so I suppose Sprite was the least liked drink. And we made 8 kilograms of pancake batter, and I think we ate most of it as well. But yeah, these are not actually the metrics that I was looking for. We actually wanted to talk about other things. I think I will leave my things as the last ones. There's some of the projects that others made, but they left by now. So I'm gonna try to show some pictures of what Priit did and what Sergei did and some others as well. So I'm gonna leave myself the last one, and I would ask maybe who's gonna start. Erki? Okay, so and we'll do the display switch, so I hope this will work. Yep.
So 1 second, please. So yeah, hi, I'm Erki. This weekend was really intense, I suppose. That should not be like that.
You need to enable the mirroring screen.
Yeah. Yeah. So this weekend was really intense. Mostly I helped migrate applications to Kubernetes and OpenID authentication with Lauri. I guess there were a lot of surprises and issues, because not all applications nicely do OpenID authentication. No, one part of the story might be that my OpenID gateway is picky in some cases, because I just did everything by standard, and everything is not standardized. But in the end of the day, we got everything migrated. So what I would want to say is that during the weekend there were a lot of hot fixes. So yeah, when we actually migrated a lot of applications, not just the testing ones, not just some test ones, but many of them, and also started migrating people into the system as Kubernetes CRDs. We found some issues, so there has been some hot fixes during the weekend, but nothing too much. I guess also looking at the Kubernetes configuration, repository. Quite a lot like commits were made into it. I won't even scroll down. I suppose what I investigated was, for instance, FreeScout. FreeScout is an open source help desk. Yeah, I suppose. Now we can log into it. I think I'm not gonna click here because there are some emails. But yeah, I thought that our possibilities are limited, but it turned out I misread the manual, like there were something with URL related, and also it's a PHP application, and their Docker images, or I mean, this is not, we are not using their official Docker image, but something that someone figured, someone else made, and it's using some kind of init daemon running in the container, also firing up like a Zabbix agent, and also like, what the fuck, why? And this yeah, why would you do it? And also like it manages the file system in the container. It has like a nice tutorial that, hey, mount your things there, and then no, of course I didn't start from this. I started running the container and looking inside where like those plugins end up. So I went and copied the plugin inside of the container where it should be, but to my surprise, it wasn't there when it finished up starting. So in the end of the day, I went back to this. I started looking at the scripts that they use, and found out that yeah, I need to copy the plugin to some other weird directory, and now it works. But yeah, at some point I might create our own container image which is sane instead of that. Like, I know my way around PHP and running it container, but I think everybody is doing it quite wrong. Also, Lauri, I helped Lauri to get Nextcloud running. It was also when we at last got to the point how it should be done. It now feels elegant that you take your variables from environment, but yeah, before that it also like copied the files around and did all kinds of weird trickery. Also with Redis. PHP has like Redis integration for session handling, and it's deep inside. Just use standardized, normal, modern PHP stuff, not do this what Nextcloud does. It's just insane. I also tried to get Proxmox getting authenticated. This was also a rabbit hole. We couldn't get it working on Couchbase cluster because I don't also know yet know whether it is with my gateway being too picky or no. The thing is, Proxmox is written, the management interface is mostly Perl, which is horrifying, but they also started using some Rust parts, like some new functionalities are being written in Rust, and then the Perl calls it out. And Rust is very typed, and if they don't support, the first issue what happened was that this is not the right URL. This should be an OpenID server or an identity provider, which it is, tells about what it supports using a well-known configuration page. And there the application can find everything it needs to know about the identity provider. So what happened is that the Rust library they are using in Proxmox hasn't been updated or doesn't support some value here. I don't know what value, because Proxmox does not log because should I keep talking? All right. So yeah, Proxmox does not log out anything, so I had to literally like go into Perl scripts and start logging out what the hell is going on there. So from that point I got to know that yeah, it does not like this configuration. Probably it has some new fields that the library is not compatible with, because it's Rust and strictly typed. It probably puts everything in some sort of data structure internally, and therefore it's really, really picky. I mean, I could, to prove my point, okay, I think I cannot find it. Okay, I do. Yeah, effectively they have their own Rust library and they updated it, and in the end of the day, our cast-based Proxmox is not is up to date on security in security perspective with minor patches. Not minor, but on batch level somewhere, but not in minor, because it's a production system. We don't do large updates frequently or whatever. And so I spun up my own little Proxmox machine, which I updated to the latest or near the latest version 7.4, and then I got it working. No, then I almost got it working. Then I also realized, then it also turned out, because due to the picky Rust library, that I am violating also another RFC. OpenID user info endpoint should not return any objects. I thought that I got a lot of like random fields under profile, let's say company, and all of those minuscule things that most applications do not care about. So I thought I will return them inside an object, but it seems like you cannot do it. And that also, when I fixed that, then I got Proxmox login working. Unfortunately, I don't have the VM running anymore, so I cannot demonstrate it. But yeah, it is possible to authenticate Proxmox with our OpenID gateway, but it needs some updates. So yeah, I think the post-mortem or like conclusion with all of that migrating is that there are a lot of moving parts, and even if the OpenID Connect is like an established RFC-based protocol, it has standards, then you cannot assume that some application actually works out of the box without hustling with it. It's kind of sad, but no, because like there are many like configuration options, or like yeah, you have got a lot of things you can configure in the client to identity provider communication. And the thing is that most developers tend to still hard code or hide away some of the configuration. They want to make your life easy. They just test it with Google or some other major identity provider, and in the end of the day, and hard code some stuff. And that's bad. You should like implement the RFC, but also keep things configurable. So yeah, but at the end of the day, I think we're gonna succeed. No, we succeeded pretty well. Yeah, on another note, I took myself together. I have a server here, an old Alcatel R710, which has been running for, I don't know, years. Of course, I have like rebooted it and upgraded it, the operating system sometimes, but it hadn't had any dust maintenance. So last night I shut it down and took it to workshop, and before it was something like that. I don't need the SSD is probably the most noticeable where the dust. No, I mean, yeah, it was really dusty. So I just cleaned it, and now it's. Come on, it was just. I know. This is I haven't yet migrated it to Kubernetes. That's because that's why it's the certificate. Yeah, I don't have nothing to explain about that. That's bad. Don't do it. But yeah, after it looked like this, and I also installed an NVMe SSD into it. So clean your servers and keep your old boys running. So I think this is it from me.
Oh, one moment. Settings. Okay. So, yeah, thank you to Erkki for being the guinea pig for last minute stream setup changes, because there were some technical difficulties, as you can see, or cannot see. Anyway, I'm Herman. This first item here, wiring up the electronic lock for the workshop, that was my initial, goal. And I guess this rugged casing thing, that was like a nice little bonus, because we went into one storage room and found boxes that were made of metal and provided UPS capabilities, which is very nice. Just one issue with this goal. It had this tag on it. I don't think it was true, because it has been 2.5 very long days for me, or not maybe as long, but really tiring, but at the same time also quite fun. So I documented this process, starting by this. This was near the start of the hackathon. Some guy from Tartu, smart guy, wired it up. Did testing so that this board actually works. It did work. I made some pictures, and in hindsight they were not very good pictures, because when I got to the part where I had to install this thing, it was a bit confusing, to say the least. And yeah, this was me, well rested, motivated, and ready to basically first night I planned, and next day started fucking some shit up. Looked around, just started disassembling things, found that this door switch didn't have any cables attached, so I solved that problem as well. Then it had cables, but this is the view from the outside. So if you come to the hackerspace and you don't have any workshop access, please do not look at this wire, do not disassemble it, and do not apply 12 volts to it. Otherwise the whole security argument is gone. But let's ignore that.
You should put a sign next to the wire.
Yeah, exact documentation on what not to do. That would be ideal. But yeah, me and Arti went to this storage room. Those in the space, it's in that direction. It has some old stuff in it, and we noticed some white boxes, because we were looking for boxes to cram all the Raspberry Pis and crap in. And used to be some security company thing, had some stuff in it. So I made some additional holes in it to hold the Raspberry Pi. And not gonna lie, I think, this looks so nice, with these nylon standoffs and stuff. It was almost assembled by this point. Just add the custom board on top. It's a bit janky, but I don't have pictures from those angles. So just imagine this is like really well put together. And then we have this thing here that converts wall power to 13.6 volts exactly, but for our purposes it was totally fine. And yeah, these two leads you'll see in later pictures. This was installing a Raspberry Pi OS. I discovered that I put the Raspberry Pi there and this big box here as well. And I did not account for the HDMI cable because I could not find the Raspberry Pi on the network because the network on the hackerspace is /16, I think. It's big, and when trying to find it, I found another Raspberry Pi that I was not supposed to have access to. So that was a fun discovery. And here's basically the setup before adding all the door wires and stuff. Took some new UPS battery, barely fits. And it worked. This was a temporary solution here as well. The death cable, if someone needs it, it's in the corridor. Plug it into the wall and you have some spicy cables. Then, with the help and design by Arti, we got this card reader installed to the door. The ugliness is hidden behind this black thing. But I can assure you it's very janky, and I'm surprised Arti still has some fingers left. So yeah, here's a prettier angle. You can't see any of the badness. And this is the part where we had to wire like wall power to the workshop, and this mess here was basically the only logical place for it. So I looked at it, I tried thinking, and it was very janky. So I had Arti brainstorm ideas on what the hell we can do with this, and I was ready there with the first aid kit, just in case. But when I inspected the contents, it would not have been very helpful. So, yeah. Anyway, after working on that, you can see it actually worked, and we still have Arti here. You'll have to trust me. He's not on the camera yet. And yeah, this is in the workshop. Had the networking cable done. We had power, and it actually worked, but we had some networking trouble, and Erkias helped figure that out as well. This is also a bit of a jank solution, but we hid the cable really nicely with zip ties and screws and this random piece of plastic that I found somewhere. And it looks like this, very professional and definitely tamper-proof, totally. Yeah, this is a view from the inside. We have a bunch of cables here. This is from the door coming in. Basically you apply 12 volts, it opens the lock. And this is a Cat5e cable that extends from the card reader. It's a bit of a mess. And one thing I learned that is these quick splice things, you need to actually use pliers to push them all the way in, because as we learned with the help of Arti again, thumb power is not enough. So you actually need to really press them in, because otherwise you won't have any contact. So that was fun when we first powered this thing up. And here is what it looked like for the purpose of testing. Of course, the battery is like unhooked, but a bit of a mess. But don't worry, it's actually, I didn't make any pictures of that. But around this point, I was here and ready to test the final solution. And I had this much time left, so that was really nice. And I have one more thing. I have proof that it actually works. This was done yesterday evening, because our software guys here did some late testing as well. And you can see I have this card. You can also use it in public transport. We have the workshop. We have the beeper thing. And when you approach it, you do the beep. The door is actually open. Bam, you can actually get in. So yeah, that's basically it. And yeah, regarding the software side, I think some other people here will tell more about it. And if you need workshop access and you don't, it's on the software guys, not me. Just saying. But yeah, it was really fun.
So, hopefully the screen sharing will work.
So, we are the software guys.
Yes.
We are the ones you have to blame for it if it doesn't work. Yeah, that's just what I wanted to say. Yeah, one part of it. We basically only made the client software on the Raspberry Pi, which controls the whole sensoric, the sensors, and the server side is done by another team that actually then wants to hook it up to Kubernetes and the UID provider.
Okay, so what was the actual plan? Plan was for me to learn Golang. That was actually the motivation for this project. And I started it last year, and it's kind of read the cards. It was great, but didn't really talk to the rest of the hardware nor the servers. So during this hackathon thing, I started working on it, and I found Philip, who helped me shit ton, and because he's an expert, I'm not, and I'm really grateful that you helped. What we did, so yes, we had Git repository. It's actually public. If you want to see it, it's up there. It's nothing special, it's just code. We wrote something like 800 lines of code and deleted 100 lines. It was nice. Yes, and yeah. What we did? We had few problems. Turns out that flipped bits don't work when you try to hash them and try to get the same hash. Yeah, it's just that to flip some true or false statements in the code, and it started working. And I think I also forgot.
The stop condition of the for loop was if the index is not equal to null. So the first bit was never looked at because the loop just it's null. So I stopped doing the loop. So yeah, this was fun debugging. But we got it working. And then we actually got the same hashes as in our old production environment, and we could hook it up to the server, and now it's actually working with the server software and everything.
Yes. So yeah, you can. The workshop door now runs the new Golang code. It has some extra features compared to the old Python version. I think I can't demo it right now, but you can actually keep the door open now. You can tell it to keep it open for 6 hours, and it stays open, which is very, very nice. We don't have to put bricks between the doors to keep them open anymore. And it has a HTTP server that Philip implemented that doesn't yet provide Prometheus metrics, but hopefully maybe sometime soon, as it's a number one issue right now. So that Lauri can hook it up and have some alerting, because right now the old Python code doesn't have any monitoring at all. It just exists. Nobody knows what's the status of it. Does it run? Does it work? Who knows? So hopefully when we deploy it fully, it's much better. What else do I have? I think that's it.
Someone can run with a code to just open it, and you will see the change of the timestamp.
Yes, we can do that. Yes, let's do a live demo because those always work really well. So it's probably gonna show some log lines that Philip tried to open the door. I hope it will beep. Maybe? Will it beep? Did it die? Does it? There was beep, but it didn't do nothing. Okay. SSH is dead. Oh yeah, it is dead. It has been dead for a few minutes. SSH is dead. One moment.
Shit! Okay.
Sorry. Yes, okay. So, sorry. Yes, okay. But you can already see the logs anyway, and it's... Yay! And it closes the door. And you get some information here that some events happened. Those will eventually go to the log mower or somewhere, some endpoint. The other guys will know more about it because it's distributed microservices, so I don't have to know about anything else. Yes, it worked. Thank you, Philip. I think that's it. Does anyone else want to show what they did? Where's
You want to do the pop-up thing, or do we have any more related stuff? No, the doorway stuff is good. Yes. You're not going to go? Okay. Maybe you want to do? No, I prefer not to. Okay. So we go pictures. And then, Martin, do you have anything? I didn't quite done yet, but I can okay, go for it.
okay?
Hi. My initial goal was to put the robot moving and do navigation via SLAM. But I didn't quite reach in that goal yet. But so I got the robot moving via ROS2, which was my goal to use that framework specifically. And so I did some hacking with them and put it moving by protocol. But I can't show you that because some networking problems and battery. I couldn't finish my robot frame yet because no battery support yet. And so, but at least I put some nice plate that put properly my Raspberry Pi 4 compute module into the robot, and yeah, at least one step further. And yeah, that's it for me.
Oh, that. So, yeah, let's try to let me cover what I did, or what I did with in cooperation with many people actually. So as Erki showed, he wrote an OpenID identity provider, which is now serving all of the Hackerspace services. We previously used to have Authelia implement the identity provider, and the data store was in Samba, so sort of equivalent with an old school Active Directory deployment. And at the moment, all of the user accounts are in Kubernetes. It's a sort of philosophical discussion, should they be there or not? But for this use case, I think it works nicely. I think there are still a few bits which are using LDAP, but I think we can soon shut down the Samba setup, so it will be gone. We're no more using passwords. That was actually one of the reasons why we had the distinction between who had a user account in Active Directory and who did not. One option would have been to provision everyone a user account, but this means that if users would set up some terrible passwords, recycle the passwords, then potentially the services that we provide would be exploitable because they're sloppy. So the new approach basically eliminates that. And the way login works now is that auth2, we're going to probably put it back in the old host name. If you want to log in, you approach auth2.kspace.de, sign in, And you have actually two methods, either with GitHub or via email. And the way email login works is that it sends you an email to your mailbox where you have a single time link. And also we have a Slack bot that prompts you with the same link. So you get basically like two channels where you get the link which you can click and then access the services. And now all of the services are listed on this site. So this will be sort of a startup menu for the hackerspace, that whatever service you need should be here. So for example, somebody wants to 3D print. Voron 3D printer is here. And through the whole OpenID traffic, whatever, blah, it ends up here in the room where the actual printer is. So everything is behind SSO. There are no more passwords. Should be safer, should be easier, whatever. And I was really happy that we could migrate all of the applications, but that's what Erki already covered. So what else? What else happened behind the scenes? Something that I've been working on for now quite long time is this Kubernetes operator framework. And this event was a good chance to test it out. So the Redis claims, KeyDB claims, MySQL claims, Postgres claims, Minio bucket claims, all of these are usable in the cluster. We set up like all of the applications that we migrated. They use wherever they use Redis, they actually use the Redis claim to get the Redis instance in the Kubernetes cluster, and the operator automatically provisions a highly available Redis cluster in the Kubernetes cluster. And we set up this big Minio bucket as well, which is on an external storage box, and we actually have now Longhorn backups as well. So hopefully now all the data that you would put in the Kspace Kubernetes cluster should be backed up correctly as well. Moved all the applications. And stretch goal, totally random idea. In the middle of yesterday, we moved the DHCP server to MikroTik as well. DHCP server used to be a sort of a container in an old machine, but now it's served by the router itself. Because when the router is dead, then nothing works anyway. And then I was not still able to shut down any boxes. So I had 3 boxes that I had a goal of shutting down 3 boxes when I started, but I think we've gone like much closer. So one of the things is the OpenVPN service. This probably will live on its life in a inside a virtual machine for some time. And there was an idea to move it to MikroTik as well, but MikroTik implementation of OpenVPN is not really compatible with all of the configuration options. The Wildtag webmail is in the Kubernetes, but the Wildtag itself still I'm taking it apart. There's like at least 5 different containers that are running there, and a couple of them I actually got running there for the mail alias generator, which I'm going to show in a second as well. But yeah, the current at kspace.e mail setup still lives in this humongous Docker container that runs I don't know how many services inside there. And there's also Asterisk instance which I would like to keep instead of removing it, but I'm not sure if Asterisk will properly work inside Kubernetes. Might be the case that it does some weird network stuff and it doesn't run. So yeah, that's what I've got so far. And maybe something that is worth mentioning here at the moment as well, just to set the expectation, and that probably goes, should be probably, I'm going to copy paste all of this into the Slack channel as well, that currently the new user registration is broken. The goal is that actually that people could access some of the services for free, that you could just log in with your GitHub account and use, for example, Etherpad. But this is disabled at the moment just to prevent the accidental creation of duplicate accounts, because this already happened. Sergey logged in, it asks, create a username, and type something, and then he had 2 Sergey user accounts. So the existing users, I need to go through them and make sure that they can log in correctly. Yeah, and I guess I will follow up during the next days, go through one by one and make sure that they can access everything. And for now, if you wanna provision an account, I'll have to do it manually with kubectl apply. And later we will enable the auto registration. So basically the flow would look like that you would log in with a GitHub user account, and then the identity provider would ask what username would you want to have inside Hackerspace infra, and then you would type something, and then that would be your username. Because otherwise we can't use Gitea and whatever services which make use of a classic username as such. And one more thing that is worth mentioning is that the inventory owner associations are broken. So the inventory app that we had, if you log in here, all of the orange ones are where the foreign key is broken, because for the new system the foreign key has to be a username, but half people don't have a username and those associations are broken. So again, I will figure out some sort of migration for this and we'll fix it. But thanks to Madis, the inventory application is now in Kubernetes. It has been separated from the member site, and there's actually very cool ideas what we want to do with this. Put SSH keys there, put WireGuard keys there, put all sorts of interesting things there, and then you could query that. Give me keys of this person, or give me keys of people who belong to a certain group. So it actually is a very interesting microservice to implement and run. So, and the machines page, that was the tool that scraped the switches. This is totally gone at the moment. I will restore it at some point, and it will be a stateless application that it will just write the data to Redis or something, but there will be no persistence there. So, and some projects that happen that I'm not related, I mean, I didn't participate in, but I think are worth mentioning here is that Preet came over, what was it, yesterday? He fixed up his Apple II, or not fixed up, he added a VGA output card, right? So you could connect a VGA monitor to the Apple II, because Apple II predates the VGA monitor, so it didn't have a VGA compatible connector. So he found some sort of custom PCB, I think he soldered it, and there's a Raspberry Pi on it. Okay, Pico, okay, which does what exactly? Microcontroller. Okay, microcontroller.
Monitors the CPU address lines and data lines and copies the frame buffer.
Okay, so it emulates a video card, sort of. Yes, but it snoops it from the existing video buffer. Okay, I see. Fancy stuff. Artur built a kegerator, so we filled it up with, he filled it up with mate tea and got it carbonated. So we have our homebrew club mate. We made some pancakes. There's a picture of making pancakes with power tools. And a couple more projects. Somebody fixed this Electronica MK52 calculator. Yeah, it was Preet's calculator, but there was some sort of traces were broken or something on the PCB, so those got fixed. And Mr. What was your first name? I just remember your last name. David. 3D printed a. Where are the screens? Can you show me the screen? So this was the. These are the ink badges that I think we use them also in Selver, or I think the local shopping mall uses also these ink badges. So these ink badges have a proprietary, they run a proprietary firmware that talks a proprietary wireless protocol, and in order to make those useful, there's an alternative firmware which is Zigbee compatible. So David built the. Show the programmer as well. Okay, thanks. 3D printed a programmer with the Pogo bins. Pogo bins we got from Zubak's company downstairs, and reflashed the machines with the Zigbee compatible firmware. So we can do something, I don't know exactly what, but whatever it is, you could just load maybe just a picture of your cat on it, and I don't know, use it as a picture frame. So thank you for that. And Sergei is home with his very pregnant wife, so that's why he's not here, I guess. He wrote the email alias generator. So as I said, we run the WildTuck email server, and WildTuck has a nice API. So I set up a copy of some of the parts of the stack in the development cluster, and he actually, to my surprise, finished to do it. Let me show you, it actually works. So, and again, the way you would discover these applications is that you go to auth2.kspace.de, and then you would here look for alias. So it's a WildTuck disposable email alias generator. Click on the link. It goes to the service. And the service talks to the WildTuck API admin endpoint, fetches the, it will get your current username and email from the OpenID Connect, and it will fetch the existing aliases from WildTuck API, and then you can just hit the button to generate new email aliases. And the point of this is that you can use a disposable email address to sign up to these pesky websites where they demand your email address. Let's say if you don't trust the site or if it looks sketchy. And you can delete them. And I think you cannot delete the ones that do not end. I think there will be a cosmetic fix to hide the delete button for these as well. But yeah, the other email addresses would be managed by the rest of the system. So I was really happy to see that he finished this. I'm very, very happy with this as well. And the host name is, of course, called Wild Flock, because a group of ducks is called a flock. So yeah. So this the domain for the disposable address will be k6.ee. That's the short domain that we have for URL shortening and for these QR codes. I think the DNS record doesn't work at the moment, but I think everything should be in place that if I add an MX record, then it should be running immediately. So yeah, lots of interesting stuff happened. I mean, some of the stuff has been, pending for more than a year. Really happy to see stuff being wrapped up. And I'd like to say thanks to Artur for organizing the t-shirts, these new t-shirts, very fancy. And Erki Naumanis for driving around. Erki got restocked everything. And I think we've made so many trips he has made so many trips to the shop that hard to count. And thanks to Martti Rand for helping out with the laser cutter as well. Artur actually etched these samples that you can see how etching looks like on different power levels. And that's it. But we have a sort of a surprise. Well, there's no surprise. It's actually on the table there. Can somebody bring the whole box with the stuff on it? Just can you put it here? Yeah, the whole thing. So I'm kind of brain dead at the moment, so these titles are very brain dead as well. So I originally wanted to have these prizes for different categories, but it's kind of hard to. I think none of the metrics were useful because nobody actually chased after the metrics. So I just at the last minute I swapped the idea for something else, and everybody just gets a funny title trophy for participating on the hackathon. So let's start. You want to come here as well? No. I mean, how about I do it this way? That we'll share the merchandise later, but I'll just spell out the trophies that we got. So, certified moonshine producer is Erki Naumanis. So, certified software architect is Philip. Very philosophical discussions how to write software. Certified code developer is Arti now, of course. Certified BSD maintainer, Robert. So of course these are not like just certified, these are case-based certified, very special. Case-based certified tea brewer is Artur for making the whole keg of mate. Certified AI developer is, what was his name? This was the new guy that visited. Last name was Rutz. He wrote, I actually forgot to mention, he came here, what was on Thursday evening only. We gave him as the input 7 days of chats from the general Slack channel, and he was prototyping this ChatGPT prompt to get to generate the weekly newsletter, and I was actually surprised what kind of stuff this algorithm picks up from the chat. It's I think definitely eventually want to get it running, that weekly newsletter. By the way, I think it's a sort of open secret, but I don't write these emails. The ChatGPT writes them already now. I just have the bullet points fed into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT generates the text of the email. So I just want to automate the last step, that it will use the calendar as the input, the Slack channel as the input, generate a draft, and then you would just edit the draft and hit send. So that would be fully automated. But yeah, so yeah, it was nice to see somebody actually test out the idea. So it looks promising. So who else do we have here? Certified laser bench operator is Marty, of course. I'll leave it here. Who else do we have? Certified embedded developer. Who was that now? I think it was you, David. Yep. Everything is in order. Then we've got certified Apple repairman, who is of course Preet. I'll leave the funnier ones as the last ones. Certified demo scene developer is of course Ralph. Ralph talked a lot about. Well, it falls into the demo scene category, I suppose, or what's the better word? Something like that. Pixel flute. Yeah. And Sergey, of course, is now certified TypeScript developer because of this Wildtak API thingy. And Mert, if you're not totally brain dead, you're a certified MAME developer now. He was So Mert was working on what was it? Porting Yuku emulator to the MAME. So Yuku is a Soviet era 8-bit computer, I think. He was trying to get it included in the MAME project to emulate the hardware, right? Yeah, he's very sleepy at the moment. And now the best ones are, of course, these two. Certified enterprise architect is now Erki, because and certified electrician. You're alive now, so turned out nicely. So there's everybody gets a bar of chocolate, and Erki's very special edition is there. I'm not going to mention what it is because of reasons. Whew. So thanks for joining, everybody. I had really fun weekend. I'm really happy with everything that happened this weekend. So, ciao.
Thank you for organizing it.
Yeah, sure.